You know, don't just stay away from me. If you want to play for YM, go and play, or something along them lines, which was obviously very good of him. But yeah, no, in the end, I just tore up the script, and what I did do last year, which has helped out the start of this year, is I cut the money pretty much in half what we had, which was, not a lot as it was already, and just said to the lads, look, there's 20 quid petrol, £30 petrol for the lads that travelled a bit further at the end of the year, which allowed me to then bank a little bit more money to start with. But I think we ended the season, I believe, I think we retained 8 or 9. 8 or 9. So it wasn't bad. We had a base of a squad and we finished the season really well. So, we took that then into pre-season.
I think you've done a smashing job, mate.
Yeah,
and I think there's other. Bill, I think Bill said last week, it hasn't gone unnoticed, has it? From like people in and around the county, what he's done on that.
I think it has gone unnoticed, Mike.
Do you really?
Yeah. I actually do, right? And this ain't no knock on Giles at all, because I think I speak really highly of him, not just because we get on and we chat a lot, but we speak a lot about football. We speak a lot about the climate of what's going on. I think there's people that get jobs for the wrong reasons. I do. Now look, we'll talk about Shoreham late in a bit, I'm sure, right? But
he loves
the East Grinstead job that came up recently, and I'm going to be honest, I can't understand, and I'm not trying to get him out of Horsham Wine because I want him to keep job.
He has, and look, he's laying the groundwork.
The eyes are going.
You do out your own job, mate.
But
he sees a project.
Everything's a project for me, mate. I think that with Gilesy, right, and his recruitment and the fact that he's got these good player pools, I'm a little unsure why. Yeah, East Grinstead have done what they've done. Fine, yeah. They also did get smashed at the weekend again, and I think that's going to now they're 12 points from safety. That's one hell of a task, even in November, like it is. And effectively, what they did is they picked Forest Row up, put a new shirt on, and they've gone and played. And with all due respect, it's proven that they haven't got the quality to compete. They haven't, and that's no knock on the players. I think they're very, very good step 5 level team. I think they probably need 3 or 4 to maybe 5 players, in my opinion, to then to try and fight their way out of it. And I don't know what that budget situation is. But going back to my point, I can't understand if I'm the East Grinstead chairman, committee, whoever, and I'm going, right, we're going to make a change, and it's been a long time since we made a change. We need to sit down and go through candidates and speak to candidates. And from what I know, look, Charles, you can speak on this. I don't think you got a phone call or touted on it. But he would have been one of 3, 100%. I would have had a conversation with if I was at East Grinstead, based on location where he's at. Like, because you have to look at your geographical area, where the players can come from, where the manager's based. I just can't understand why. Not that, and why I'm going to pay me for this, because they're sitting third at the table. Last thing they want to do is lose their manager. But and you might not want him to go, but for me, he would have been the perfect candidate, in my opinion. And then that's when I go back to the point is I think he is going unnoticed a little. And I think he's going unnoticed because it is so much more on trend to go for a young coach. Look, I'm 40 in March. Giles, no spring chicken either, right? We both had our paper rounds, right? So
he couldn't get on the bike; he was too short.
I had a full head of hair before I went into management. I tell you that.
Yeah, did. Yeah. But I think for me, it's not always like you can get a bit like what's the word? Stereotyped, like casting a role, and I think maybe that's what's happened. You know, the Croydon stuff, and people suddenly start thinking you're county. Yeah, actually, the work that he does behind the scenes is probably like better than most of the step 4 clubs out there, because I'm telling you, a lot of them don't have a clue what they're doing. I can sit behind.
I saw that, Phil, when I was away. The prep they do,
yeah,
and the itinerary they get, and the videos and the footage they see. It was a really good insight. It was pro run up. Really
There's not many that do it. Like Charles, obviously, I'm over speaking. You jump in and talk about your process, but I don't think like I've played like even when I was at Lancing and I come up against some teams there. Obviously, we didn't win many games, but I look at what we did, and if you ask what the players what we did and how we prepped a team that really was never going to pick up results, the players that we had versus some of the other teams that we come up against, I'll sit there sometimes in the dugout thinking, what do they know? And half of it was recruitment of players or just having better players than we had. But like Giles, give us an insight into you. Give us an insight into what you do without giving away the secret sauce. Let us all know.
Yeah, look, I think for my point of view, I want to go as far in the game as I can. You know, I've got, like I said earlier, I've got a scaffolding business. I've got a maintenance business as well that runs alongside that. And my dream is to let that, you know, run itself effectively. My brother, who works for me as well, you know, he's more than capable to look after that side of things to allow me to really push on in football. And wherever it may lead me, I want to go into full-time football, whether it's academy based or whatever. You know, that's where I want to go, and that's why I have had to jump on the journey with the badges. And I think, you know, looking at Mark White and what he says, you know, he's got no badges, but he's in a position where, you know, he hires himself, right, and has done an incredible job, like absolutely.
Have you got no badges, Liam? No badges or anything like that?
No, literally last
I'm
week.
I'm not
25-meter swimming badge.
Yeah, no, yeah, level. I did the introduction to football course, which is a level 1, which is, I don't know if you saw my tweet the other day, which was, you know, you gain nothing from. You know, it literally, my wife, who, you know, has not really got much football knowledge, would sit here and go through the same course as easily as I did. So that was why I was asking the question, why is there no form of fast track? But that's another story. But you know, what we like to do is, firstly, we build an identity and a culture within. So I'm very big on environment and culture. So my players come to me for absolutely anything, you know, outside of football, inside whatever it may be. Yeah, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You know, we sorry, off track there. Yeah, no. So we look to build something where we've got people out watching games every week, which gives us an idea on the oppo, but we are very much based on us. So I like to know what they have, but we're not changing what we do. So we have our identity, you know. And as I said before, I'm very, very privileged to have built a really, really good team around me. I mentioned Harrison earlier, who's obviously managed higher than I have. Still only, I think he's only 30 years of age. You know, another tough paper around there. And
he's only that age, is he?
Yeah,
only 30.
No, he's not. He's not.
Yeah, sorry, H, if you're listening.
You need to get some Nivea cream.
He's a top guy, though, isn't he? Top guy.
Listen, and his
detail,
his attention to detail is very, very good. And like I said, he makes me a better person and a better manager. And again, Paul Oliver, who you guys met, and Lee knows as well. Bill knows as well. You know, is incredible. Like, in terms of anything I need, details, good with the players, stats, spreadsheets, you name it. Paul's got the lot. And, you know, he's a bit like Marmite, right? People, you know, we had the saga at Loxwood with him, which is one of the big reasons why I left, was how I felt he was treated, because I am, you know, loyalty towards my people. But listen, like, to be honest, I just think, you know, we're really, really well organised. No stone unturned. Like, we literally go through it every day. We're on the phone, which I'm sure every manager is at this level. But you hit the nail on the head earlier about recruitment, right? And I think that your network is huge. And I think where I've come from, you know, being in the South London area, Croydon, done the Kent leagues, played in the combined counties. So, and again, I'm not as old as Bill, although he says I might look it. I'm only 36. So there's still players out there that I'd played with that are still out there playing. And, you know, what I've done is I've come over here and we've just built a complete new network in Sussex. And I genuinely believe, you know, at the moment, I really, really am looking forward to us playing Hayward Heath, just to see where we're really at, because when we played them the first time, we weren't what we are now. You know, I know they've strengthened as well, but I think it will be a real shootout because I think, as you've seen, we go after teams, we get in people's faces. And I just think, you know, our average age is under 23, you know, and it's incredible. Like, we've got 5 players in the club over the age of 23. So,
Wow.
yeah. So, you know, I feel that as long as we can go where I want us to go, you know, we get, you know, it was touched on last week, Bill, I heard when you sang about, you know, ambitions of clubs and where clubs want to be. And if we was to get promoted, could I manage on the budget we've got? It would be probably the lowest budget ever in the Isthmian League. So the answer is no there. Something would have to change there. But yeah, look, I think we have got a very good group. And if we can keep them together, you know, I do think that we are destined for good things.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Giles. Just got to ask as well, because we see it on Twitter quite a few times after a game. In that, where did the Adele song come from?
do you know what? Right, funny enough, last year, again when it was like literally, I just had to beg, steal, borrow, ask for favors to get a team out initially, right? And thankfully, Ashley Dugdale, who over 500 games for YM legend, he stuck around and, you know, was a big part of us finishing the season how we did. And I think what happened was they were going through like a playlist for the dressing room, and you know, all young lads and Duggars, you know, being sort of closer to my age than he is the 23-year-olds we got in the squad. I think it was his choice, I believe. I might be wrong there, but if he's listening, he'll back it up. And it just stuck, like, and it's just gone from there. Really, there was no sort of meaning behind it. Adele, Someone Like You.
Oh yeah.
Can you give us for people that don't know that song? Do you mind giving us a few seconds worth?
Yeah,
just tune in.
Fair,
we
did that outfield last year as well.
You'll get the drift.
Yeah. Yeah, we had the same song last year outfield.
But
we never sang it Lancing, but we had it outfield.
But just touching on like what Bill's saying, like about East Grinstead, right? And you know, I'd also talk about potentially, you know, Bill's involved at Hastings as well. I look at, you know, for me, I'm, you know, and you'll laugh because I believe in what Bill says about a project, right? I think it is very important. If you're in it for the long term and you're not just trying to bounce around, and you've genuinely got a plan, right? It's almost like a business plan, right? You have a plan, you have a project, right? Like it's, you know, I'm all about that, and I would love to take YM into the Isthmian League, and I'd love to start YM for as long as possible, right? It's on my doorstep. I've seen he's just in the comments there, Steve Ratcliffe, who is our chairman, who I have an incredible relationship, and I think I said it on the pod with Mike in our first ever one. Pick your chairman, right? Not your club, because that's so important. You know, he's been brilliant. And to be honest with you, you know, I was surprised my phone didn't ring, like genuinely. And I think it goes to say, like what Bill's saying, like when people get overlooked, you know, I feel like my network is probably up there with some of the best at step 4, let alone step 5. You know, and that there's players that I can't bring to YM purely because we don't have the resources for them. They might not want to drop the level, which has meant, to be honest, if you look at the group I've got now, other than since I've been at
Some shouldn't be playing at that level.
No, they shouldn't. But you know what, Mike? What I was getting at there is there's only one player in that squad that's played for me previously, which goes to show I haven't now got what I would call my core of players that have played for me elsewhere. So, you know, it's a completely new group. So, you know, I do think that people, you know, it's not just myself. There's other people that get overlooked. And I do think that, unfortunately, what you're seeing more and more happen is really, really bad choices from clubs. And I'm not talking about East Grinstead here. I'm just talking about in general, because what you see is good clubs that have some form of sustainability at a level. They make a wrong choice. They make another wrong choice. I think Corinthian Casuals is another one, you know, from step 3, you know, step 4, step 5, and it's a free fall, you know. And I just think that sometimes people really need to get people in a room and actually see what they're about. Because I know full well that if I go into a room with, and again, not trying to tout myself out because I am happy where I am, but if I went into the room with Bill and the Hastings owners, I'd be absolutely shocked if they didn't want to appoint me because of what we do and me as a person and what I can bring to the table. Because it is, you know, I am lucky that I am in my position that it can be a full-time job for me. You know,
Yeah.
I don't get paid for what I do here at YM, you know, and I know there's some won't, but there are a lot of managers at this level that pick up money, right? Coaches pick up money.
Is there?
And yeah, 100%. When I was at, you know, when I was at Croydon, I could have took a bit of money myself out of the budget if I wanted. You know, I know at Lancing last year they were paying the staff. Most clubs have a budget for staff, especially at step 4, 1,000,000%. But yeah, like I say, I just think that, you know, and I'm not saying they've got it wrong in either clubs, by the way, because, you know, I don't know Dave, but told he's a great coach, and I'm just talking about what Bill brought up. And, you know, genuinely, I do think clubs make knee-jerk decisions, and sometimes they think with their heart, not their heads, or they're just, you know, they're just poorly managed. And, you know, I think Bill said it last week, like, I am more than a football manager. Like, I could genuinely, I could step into the boardroom and, you know, really drive a club forward if that's what I wanted to do. You know, and I'm not trying
You're
to
happy at YM though, aren't you? You are happy
yes,
there.
very happy, very happy. You know, listen, every club, every manager will have things that they want better, that can be improved, and, you know, the club know my ambitions, and, you know, not talking out of turn at all. They know that we need to be better, especially if we're going to get promoted this year or next year, whenever it may be, because going into the Isthmian's a whole different beast in terms of crowds and, you know, everything about match day experience, etc., etc. So, you know, we'll work together, and if it does happen, we'll work together at making that the as best as we possibly can. And as I said, you know, Steve and there's some other great people on our committee that will really push to make things happen. But yeah, look, I'm happy where I am. If I was to get offered one of them jobs again, you know, I said to my chairman that I'll always be open to a conversation with anyone, because I think that's just normal and natural, right? To hear what's being said, and
Yeah.
you know, even for, like, in terms of experience, right? Because it's not a hobby for me. Like I said, I want to go as high as I can. So if I can go and have 2 or 3 interviews, even if I'm not interested in the job, you know, it's good learning and it's good experience, and that'll only make me better.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So
going sort of on with the results you had, you've got this season. Is it who's your next game?
We got Billywood Shoreham Saturday.
Fucking hell! Can't wait for that.
Billy, let's have your take on that, please, mate.
They win. He's like,
Who, Shoreham?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 20 new players coming in. Look, I think Sean obviously made their appointment. I think boldly, I think it's wrong. I do, and it's no knock on the lad, right? If I was his age, I'm sure of us, all of his age would have get hard on at the thought of getting a job like that. Step 5 at 22 years of age, right? But he's 22 years of age. He was with all due respect to him, he was the coach for Dave Baker at Montpellier Villa last year. Got relegated from Step 6. Now, it's not like he got relegated from the league above or league above that or has a pedigree or anything. He effectively was a coach at that level. Okay, and look, relegations happen to the best of us. We've all been there.
I haven't.
Joe, all right, question for you lot before we carry on, because I wear it a lot. Does the Lancing one count as mine for 11 games?
Right, how many games were you in there for?
11.
How many did you win?
Come on, none.
No, I just need to know the facts.
None.
No.
No,
How many did you draw?
1 point.
How many goals did you score?
Fucking hardly any, Mike. Let's be realistic. They were in the bottom 4 before I took over, and I only had
you knew what you were taking on there.
Yeah, 100%. But is that solely my relegation? I thought to the table.
If you kept him up, would that have been? Would you have took that?
No, I wouldn't have. Gone.
Right. So same for me. Right. My first job in football was Croydon. Yeah, and I took the job, I think, with 12 games to go, and they had 6 points on the table. I knew full well taking that job I was going to have a relegation on my CV.
Yeah.
And even though the damage was done long before I went in, I knew I was going in there, and it was my in, right, into management, because I was 30 years of age. I was playing at the time. I just finished playing at Hawley. I was still playing that year, but in and out, injuries, work, whatever. And I looked at it and was like, I can't pass up on this opportunity, so I'm going to take it. My dad said, you're out of your mind. You know, it's a suicidal move, blah, 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 blah. But I looked at it in a different way. I wouldn't be here now, I don't believe, if I didn't take that job. So I've got to wear the relegation, but there's always, you know, if you actually look it up and read into it, you know, the damage was done. And I think, you know, Bill, in your situation, I think the damage was pretty much done before Morgs went in there, to be honest, because even with Morgs and H, they got like a little mini revival, went on a good run, you know, had a few results, and then obviously dropped back in. But you know yourself, that league's, you know, it's unforgiving. And there was obviously a lot of issues there at Lancing, because there's a reason why they are where they are now.
Yeah,
so Bill, I think you have got to wear it, mate.
Cheers, mate. Right, let's go back to Shoreham.
We get a t-shirt next show, mate.
Yeah, I'll say my bit on Shoreham.
Project of relegation.
I'll say my bit on Shoreham. Firstly, you've got to give the lad a chance, a fair crack at the whip. Look, he'll be under no effing of illusion of the challenge ahead, yeah? And he is young, but his age a barrier. I know you need a bit of experience in there. If you're good enough, you're old enough, ain't you?
No, but Mike,
it's too young.
Even that. It's Mike. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
As you as a centre half, right? So like, say you're 31 years of age as centre half. Ball's gone over your head. They've scored, and it's 22-year-old kids having to go and tell you what to do. What do you do as a 31-year-old?
I get what you're saying there.
That's not bullshit. Like you would go, fuck off. What do you know? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just natural. It's natural. The one thing I think for him is, if they get the staff around him right, and they bring like a grey-haired man or an older man, right, who's been around the game, who's got context, then maybe. But I just look at it and go, as a player, why would you go? Like, what's your reason right now for going to Shoreham? And like, where's the player context?
He might not get that chance again.
He might never get a chance in football, like at any level management again, for another 10 years.
All right, so what happens then? What happens then now? He goes around and somehow, against all odds, he pulls them out. They go on a run, and they avoid a relegation. Yeah, he looks a fucking hero. And then
that's why everyone takes those jobs, like, because he's nothing to lose. But actually, the biggest loser.
So you can't argue him having a punt at it.
Mike. So you know what I was saying before about chairmans and clubs? I think it's very irresponsible from a club's point of view, because listen, the young man might be brilliant, right? And look, they might come to us next week and turn us over. And listen, I'm not saying that, but what I will say is that they're in a very, very tough position right now. As a young man, you know, and look, wants to be involved, a coach, manager, whatever, he's not going to turn down a job. And I don't think, you know, it's not on him, by the way. Like, brilliant, well done to him for that. Yeah. But if he's losing, this young lad hasn't got the experience to go into that fire pit. They're in free fall, and he is going to wear that, right? You've got to be so mentally strong to be a manager in this level of football. Like, I've had it, trolls, all the nonsense, right? All the people getting on your back and all the rest of it. And I just think, being a young man, listen, he may be the strongest character you've ever met. And look, I see people say age isn't nothing but a number, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's an irresponsible decision to put a young man of that age in to a fire pit as it is.
I'm not
because look,
I know their chairman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of us do, right? From where he came from there, from his point of view, 4, 5, 6 games into the season, they'd won 3 or 4. They won away at the Vars at Nap Hill. And then overnight, he lost the whole squad. Mm-hmm. When Lowell moved on, and can't blame Lowell for moving on to what's going on over at Saltdean there. Josh, when he came in, he looked a bit out of his depth in there. This could be the same case for the lad. I mean, what are the expectations?
Well, that's the thing.
Well, you're saying it irresponsible. I sort of get where you're coming from with that, thinking that maybe it's a lamb to a slaughter, maybe another one, yeah? Maybe they should have gone with a Billy Woods or a I don't know, a Bill Clifford or someone like that.
Somebody that has got the experience of the level and the network of the players at the level, because in the situation they're in, and believe me, I came in at YM, like I say, with 2 players and had to do a total rebuild. That's not easy.
You know what it's like to be happen to be in that situation.
100%, like 100%. And but the difference is, Mike, like I had 5 years experience coming into it with a very good network. And even then it was tough. You know, we had Hassocks come to us, beat us 4-0. We had Crawley Down come to us, beat us 4-0. You know, and I'm wearing them results myself. And listen, it's not nice, especially when, you know, you're ambitious and you regard yourself as a winner, and you know it's hard. Like, you know, you guys all know, like, look, Bill, Mike, especially, like when you're involved in management, you know, it ruins your whole weekend. So you've got a family at home, etc., etc. All right, I don't know this young man's, you know, his situation.
What is his background? Do we know his background or where he's come from?
He was Dave Baker's coach at Montpellier Villa last year.
Montpellier, yeah.
Right, okay.
He was doing interviews. Like if you go back on Montpellier's page, he was doing interviews, and and I think Josh wasn't that a Montpellier Villa contact as well. Like you've got to ask yourself what's the circle.
Like my last point on the Shoreham thing, right? And again, it's not my business, etc., etc. But if I'm putting myself in a Shoreham chairman's shoes.
Yeah, go on, Giles. Yeah, I'm going to say that about Jake in a bit. Like,
So if I'm in the Shoreham chairman's shoes, I am putting out an advert for applicants. I am putting myself together a short list, and I'm looking at somebody I believe that's going to keep me at the level, and that I know has got pedigree, can do it. And I think
who's available? Who is available?
Well, you don't know unless you put it out there, do you? You might get people that are happy in a job at step 6. You know. I've seen Mo pop up, for example, and I'm not putting, you know, Mo's doing a great job at Godalming, you know, but, you know, an incredible job. And I'll see you there, Mo, and anytime, mate. Helped him out of a little bit of our intel earlier on in the season. But look, like, you don't know, right? That's the answer to it. You do not know who's going to apply. So if you don't put it out there, you never know what's actually on the table for you. And I just think that, look, you know, I just personally think that you know, you're asking for trouble without going down that road and actually being open to it. But who am I to say that, right? Hopefully they turn the corner, just not this week, and the young man is the next Jose Mourinho and he's climbing through the leagues in no time.
Can you imagine that if he goes and turns you over at the weekend?
Serious egg on my face. The trolls that have been hiding for a little while, and I know why that is.
They will be coming out
very well themselves. They'll be coming out and coming straight for me.
End of the day, look, the most important thing is that he can prove everyone wrong, right? There's always going to be opinions. Yeah. And I'm going to have an opinion. Giles is going to have an opinion. Mike, you're going to have an opinion. Lee, you're going to have an opinion. Everyone online is going to have an opinion, right? The one thing people say is he's a nice lad. And that's good. But then, like, you know, at that age, like, all I wanted to do in work, in anything, is just get under a learning tree. I just wanted to be a sponge at that age. I never would have wanted the responsibility at that age. Like that, it's like Giles says, it's really sometimes it can bear like heavy. I'm telling you, the Lancing thing, and I'm a grown man, right? With a lot of trolls, like even when Hastings were top of the league and flying high, and I still would get batterings because it was like, you know, this is the CEO, very outspoken CEO talking and blah, 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 right? And I could deal with it, but the Lancing one was horrible. And the Shoreham interest has been horrible the last couple of weeks. Like Josh must have really I know he done an interview and he said, it didn't really bother him, but I'm telling you, it would have. And it's not nice. And I just hope that Connor gets the support he needs in this role to be able to be successful. And if he doesn't, then look, they're going to be making another change in 10 games' time. It's going to be even harder for them. Do
you think he's going in with someone, an older head or anything like that? Have you heard anything like that?
Look, I don't know. I hope so. I hope
Come
so
on,
for
Bill.
his sake. No, there's no way. Look, I don't know it. I don't know the lad.
I don't think you could do a number 2. I don't think you're that. You're
No,
exactly
no.
what you said. You're not that character.
Leaders lead, right? And that's it. Like for me, like that's what I do. And that comment, Jake made a comment. Jake, not to point fingers, but it's no different than me getting a Lancing job. It is different. It's a lot different. One, I spent 5 years in Isthmian football, building sides, so my recruitment network was a lot bigger because I couldn't deliver it because of transfer embargoes and outspoken players and no money is one thing. My network was there. Two, I was managing Upfield at the time. We were the only team at that point to go to league leaders Seaford and win, right? We didn't lose to Seaford at all season, right?
You lost to me, didn't you, Bill?
Yeah, I did, Mike.
I was only manager for 2 games.
Yeah, you're the only one who beat me in that period of time. But
I'll take one of them. 5-1.
No, you did. It was, mate, that game was ridiculous. Well, let's be honest.
Yeah, that guy got sent off, didn't he?
Yeah, it killed us because we were flying and then suddenly get sent off the dive.
It was a McCaffrey masterclass. What do you
It was. You got off the pitch, Mike. But like we were at the time we getting that job. Yes, it was step 6, but we were points per game. I think 3rd or 4th in the table. We just had a few games in hand because of the pitch situation at the Upfield, and we were doing all right. We had a good side there, and we would have finished in the playoffs 100%. So it's not really the same because I have experience, but Lancing did take a chance with me, but that was always thought about 11 games. What are we going to do next season? It was the heat and the problems with the club that didn't allow that to happen, and that's fine. You know, it's made me want to go into everything I do opened eyes, like everything I do. And I just think with the Shoreham situation, Shoreham's a really, really good club, and I really, 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 really hope that for me that he gets the support to deliver. And yeah, Jake, you're right. Who knows? Connor might have a great network. And he might be a great coach at the Russell Martin Academy. Great. But he's now got to go and prove he's a manager, which is a lot different than going and coaching kids.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point.
By the way, this is no knock on him. So I want
because we can't assassinate the lad before he's
no way. He just needs. I think what it is when people make appointments, rightly or wrongly, you're gonna get scrutinised either way. The same when I got the Lancing job. The same actually when Jolesy got the Horsham job. Right? Let's be honest. Like the Dean Carden brigade come out. No, Jake, it's totally fine, mate. But like the Dean Carden brigade come out and really, really like went at him, didn't he? Like completely went at him. And I think we've all been there. Like even when I got the Hastings CEO role, I got hammered, by the way, locally. What does he know?
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Absolutely. And then I delivered their first league title in 20 years as CEO. So it is what it is. But I think people need opportunities. I do. And I agree with that. But I just think Connor could have gone in with someone as their 2, learnt shit ton for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, then gone and coached higher up. Like could have gone, I don't know, coached at the Isthmian League level, done that, been a 2 there, and then maybe then gone like successful, like someone like a Burgess Hill men's first team, somewhere like I don't know, even like whatever, Hastings, could be Worthing, whatever, be around that scenario, get everything he needs, and then at the age like at 30, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, whatever, go into a role that's really kind of a little bit, give himself time, give himself a pre-season. Now he's got to just get his head down. We don't know what he does for a job, but Giles will tell you, completely tell you. Okay, we'll go into that in a sec. But Giles will tell you, this being a manager, your actual work suffers. Like you have to probably do 10 hours a day on football because you have to make phone calls to your current players, players, signing new players, making sure the kit's there, making sure that like you have to do so much, right? So I don't know, like going in now, he's now got to recruit. So like from the weekend's game, they played Bexhill. Obviously, Steph, actually one of my staff at Hastings Women, he was in goal for Bexhill, didn't keep a clean sheet, typical of him. But with regards to that, like how many players were different? I saw that Magic Sabino was back in the team. Again, no knock on him.
Yeah, he's back playing yesterday.
there's no knock on him at all, because obviously he's got a good pedigree. But Magic's what? He must be mid-40s now as well. So they need more players than that, right? Because ultimately, like, they need it. They need the help. So look, I don't know. For me, again, this isn't a character assassination on the lad. I really want him to succeed, because ultimately he's the man they've trusted to do the job. But it's going to be bloody tough. It's going to be tough. And go on, Giles, go on.
So almost, I think it's a bit different if they'd appointed the lad before pre-season, and he had a whole pre-season to understand things. Because listen, I came in December, and it was tough. Like I say, again, not saying I'm Jose Mourinho or whatever, but I've got a contact list. I've got my ideas, my philosophies, etc., and it was tough. It was really tough. I think we went I think it might have been 8 games or something without a win at one point. And that's tough. That's probably the toughest point of my career. But I managed to get us out of it. And then once you get a full pre-season, it's your identity, your project from scratch, and you can literally just. So I think that's what's really tough for him. I think it's really, really tough that he's gone in. They're in free fall. I don't think they've won for, is it 12, 13 games or something? Something
like that. Yeah,
something like that. So listen, I really hope he does well, because fair play to the young man. I think he's probably going to be the youngest manager in non-league. And I hope.
We haven't mentioned that, to be fair. He's got to be close.
Yeah, 100%. And genuinely, I wish the young man all the best in the world, just not next Saturday.
And also, by the way, look, just in case Connor's watching, or anyone that's watching with him, if he wants to drop me a message and have a chat about what I've said or any advice, the phone's open, right? I'm not going in and working there, but like, look, no one wants this young lad to not succeed. No one does.
No.
I know how valuable it was. Not just take away the football side of things, but I know how valuable it was when I was going through it, to be able to pick up the phone to people like Gilesy, pick up the phone to yourself, Mike, because you checked in with me a lot. Pick up like Dave Orndorff, Jude McDonald, having that the network of coaches. Ben Smith, who was Ramsgate manager, who recently departed there. Even Sean Saunders, having those people to be able to pick up the phone to and just chat. They might not be able to give me anything like player wise, but to be able to have that chat and burden the load, because it's going to be tough. Like, if he wants to drop me a message on X, send me his number. I'll happily have a chat with him if he ever needs to offload, for sure.
Well, I'm looking at the next 5 matches. Okay, before we end the Shoreham there. Obviously, they've got to go to YM. Going Mead Saturday. Then they've got Wick at home, away to Stenning, home to Roffey, and away to Peacehaven.
I'm glad I'm glad I'm not the manager.
You might have had 2 on your CV.
That's a horrible run.
Yeah. I mean, hey, but look, it'll be the topic of conversation if he goes and picks up 5-6 points out of 5 games. Yeah.
By the way, I think what Shoreham need to do, this is my big advice, is like, with the recruitment, don't be fucking scared and scattergun, because you'll just be in the same situation. If he's just scattergunning, I know that player, he played for us last season here, they will just get absolutely tonked. He actually needs to just be really open with the chairman, set a target list of 15 players, try and get 6 of them through the door, improve, go and win 1 in 3 games. Like, just try.
How tough is it to recruit at this time of year, lads? You two should know.
Yeah, if you're not winning things or winning games, players can be shit houses. Who wants to be in a relegation battle if you're any good?
So that's for me. And it's what I said to my club at the start of the season, because what I did say is, I said that if there was any way we could try and find a bit more money, even if it was just at the start of the season or whatever, if you can get a good start, and if we're sitting in 3rd, right? If I pick up the phone now and I want a player from, I don't know, let's just say, Roffey, let's just say, right? The conversation, I would believe, would be, a lot easier to try and bring that player in from there, than it would be if we were sitting in 15th, right? And also what that also does is players want to play in winning sides. So when it comes down to budgets, in that situation, if that player was interested, I bet you he would cost me a lot more money at 15th than he would to come in when you're sitting third and you're flying.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
So massively helps.
There was players on a lot more money than they should be on because we had to get them. I had no choice, right?
Yeah.
No choice. And I just think with the Shoreham thing, it's about, and this is why the network's important. If Connor's got a really good network of experienced players, because he's going to need men, then he'll be fine. It will be fine, right? Because a lot of the comments are he's an amazing coach. Like that's all well and good, right? But you only get 1 or 2 contacts a week with a team, especially at this time of the year. Probably one. What can you really do in 90 minutes to make sure that you're well drilled and coached? Like I know when that Chris Agata was a manager at Hastings United, we were part-time, but he was like taking 3-hour sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then all the lads under the age of 21 were in 1 or 2 mornings a week. So you can get your footballing philosophy into those players, so you can drill and coach and coach and coach.
Yeah.
If they're only coming in for 90 minutes on half a 3G pitch somewhere, like that's when it's with all due respect. Yes, you can shore things up. Yes, you can have a style of play, but that's where the recruitment is going to be really, really important this time of year, because he's going to need the players to dig him out of it. Be ugly. Don't be expansive. Don't be overly pretty. Try and nick a point. Like I say, a winning 3 could be 3 draws. Really, it's 3 points, right?
If we look at it from the other team's perspective, I'm sorry to jump in there, lads. There are a couple of you got Vandinians and Lancing around them. Lingfield only 2 points above them.
Yeah.
Wick dangerously close, and then Midhurst only takes a couple of games, doesn't it?
For any of those.
Yeah. It's so tight. It's so tight from 13th down to 20th that if anyone sticks on a little run or someone's team form just drops out their arse out, do you know what I mean?
That's why Shoreham are there. Shoreham's arsehole fell out. That's why they are on 9 points, right? Now, the loss thing gets blamed a lot. It gets blamed a lot that he went. But all the players can't just walk out and leave. Like surely you have to do something like
they did, didn't they? They did. There's only one player, I think, that remained.
Okay.
Elliot,
so does that come? So did Loz tell him not to play for him anymore?
And Packer stayed, didn't he?
Well, yeah, and then Packer went to Lancing, didn't he?
He's at Lancing now.
But only just recent, right? He hung it out for a bit.
Yeah, he did.
He
was
on the bench when they played Shoreham.
Mm.
Yeah, Loz is for Shoreham as well. I thought he was playing left back at one point.
No, he's gone. Loz is
gone. He's up there now. But he was, wasn't he? He was, and I think
he was. Yes, yeah.
But do you think that's maybe, they needed to get someone in, and do all the problems stem from the original appointment of Josh?
It's hard to say because, like we said, Josh came in when all the players went, we ain't playing for you anymore.
Yeah, but he only left on he left on the Thursday or whatever that week, and they brought Josh in straight away, right?
Yeah,
there should have been an application interview process there and then.
Yeah.
It should have been put someone in caretaker, give it to someone like Packer or a player like Shoreham did last year when they put Tom Bold in charge. I think it was the Cousins at the end of the year that know the level, know players, know what's needed to survive, and then appoint someone that's right. Like I don't know Josh, but look, it clearly didn't work, and I think a great, I'm a great advocate if you're if you are good enough, you're old enough as a player, right? I do think management's different. I do think that in terms of this young man is very young. He's not long out of college, may still even be. I don't know, right? So, but in terms of players, what they need is they need men, as Bill said, they need experienced people that have been there, done it, know what it takes. Because what I continue to see is it was a bit the same at Lancing on Saturday. They've conceded a goal trying to play out, but continue to try to play out. And it's a young-minded, footballing. If you're down there, maybe go against, and I had to do it. this year I've dropped the formation that is my go-to. I believe in. We worked all pre-season on it, 3 times a week, like to a T, and I had to drop that because it wasn't working. Like, we lost to Stenning.
Did you realise that though it weren't working?
Yeah, like
when you came across like
we lost to Stenning 6-1. We lost to Stenning 6-1, and yeah, we had a lot of players missing that day. But you know what I should have done is I should have gone, actually, let me change it. Let me not try and put square pegs in round holes, and actually then looked at it and thought, you know what, we were missing a few players for a couple of weeks. So what I did is I just went to a different formation, and we've stuck with that, and it's been working. So I think what makes a good manager or a good coach is identifying when it's not right, and actually going, not being so it's about me and how I want it to be, like actually recognize what's best for the team, what's best for the football club. And you can always return to that at another time when it's, you know, like, for example, get safe, you know, no worry of relegation. And this is where we was at last year, right? When we got out of the trouble, because we was in a relegation conversation for a little bit last year. And once we got out of that, I then went back to the shape I started with this year, which I knew I wanted to do. And actually, it doesn't matter then so much, right? Because we're not in danger of going down. So I can then look at trying to, you know, implement what I want, playing style, shape, blah, blah, blah. So it's very, very important that, you know, these young coaches don't just try and stick to wanting to play the Pep Guardiola way that was before he's now changed it. Because the best coaches change up, right? Look how City are now playing. You know, they've totally changed it.
They have to change.
You know, they changed their identity. Everyone's copied them for however long, right? Now they've changed it. Do you know what I mean? Like, a good manager recognises that and does that.
Yeah. Right. So we're gonna slowly start to close it down, but
because you've got to go to bed, please.
No,
there's
got hour and a half, mate.
There's over 750 watching now.
Let's keep going. Let's roll it.
Is that all?
Massive.
750, yeah. You haven't even tapped into Bill's network yet. All yours.
So yeah, Josy. So what is it? Obviously, we were at Guernsey with you, so we saw you played there. And you played really, really well. Great win and everything like that. But what is it like to manage a player like an Alfie?
I know what you're going to say. An Alfie. Okay.
Yeah. What is it like to manage him?
I thought you were going to say Noel Fisher, to be fair.
Well, leave my boy Noel.
The Fisher wins, my God.
Leave the Fisher boys alone.
Incredible, the pair of them. Incredible. But
quality.
Alfie, as you saw, right, you know, love Alf, right? He's been around Sussex football for so long. He has his ways and all the rest of it. But credit where credit's due to him this year. There was a conversation whether he would even make our squad in the summer. We had a chat and said, come back in, get your head down. And to be fair, like, he has been outstanding. Really has. And you know what, mate, like, behind all the bravado and all the rest of it, and the lad and the beers and the, you know, the video that he appeared on the live, which he gets ripped for in the chat because he can hardly talk, right? But he is such a genuine, sensitive lad. Like, he's a good lad.
He is.
You know, he loves it. He was suspended. He's there watching. You know, I left him out of the squad after Guernsey, you know, and he wasn't too happy about it, but he was still there on Saturday cheering on the boys. And there's Anne there. So Anne's
we love Anne. We love Anne. She's
brilliant.
Yeah.
She's superb. You know, a breath of fresh air for the football club, to be honest. Her coming on the committee a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago now. You know, she's brilliant, and hopefully she's really going to help drive, you know, off the pitch forward. But no, Alfie's top. He probably didn't fit the model as so, but you know, he's been fantastic, and fair play to him.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
How is competition in that squad, Liam? Because I'm seeing you lads. You know, you always sign. If you're signing someone else, you always turn it up a little bit. You know, we spoke pre-season about some of the players. You mentioned people like Leon and that earlier. You know, I looked at him, thought, hell of a player. Didn't realise his brother. Didn't realise he had a twin in Noel. And you know, you've got Adam, Uso. I mean, some of these players, they're ridiculous, mate.
Yeah, do you know what, mate?
How can you keep them all happy?
Again, I think it's the environment. It's the environment we've created, and competitions really highlight. For example, Alf hasn't played for 3 games. Arch Alexander come in, waited his time, hadn't been playing much. Had been playing in the cup games when we just rotated, and he had 3 games out, Alf, and he came in and got man of the match on Saturday. And and that just goes to show you that they're pushing each other. Massive shout out, by the way, to Bromley FC and what they've done for us, because I built a relationship there with Brandon Daly, who's the first team goalkeeper coach initially. He obviously got us Harry Haynes in on loan, who, in my opinion, is there or thereabouts for the best goalkeeper in the league. The way he strikes the ball, alone is probably better than most goalkeepers in the league. Right? It's a
Stay fans, Harry. Stay fans.
Yeah,
He's class. He's going to have a big future.
Yeah,
he's a great guy, and he's a really nice lad, isn't he?
Great lad, and he's great family. They come to all the games, and really good. And then Ross McNelly going in there. Obviously, I had a couple of dealings with him when he was at Whitehawk. Sent us a young lad when I was at Loxwood, and obviously he's now in as the 21s and B team manager. So I speak to him, probably 3-4 times a week. We've got 3 in on loan from Bromley. We've got 3 scholars. And I even went down there and watched a session, and for my development and my learning. So they've been a really, really big help. And again, that's what I'm talking about, network. So that's been fantastic, and it helps push lads on. I bought in Sam Hards. Do you know what? I just saw that. That's why I was laughing. He's normally in bed by 6, so for him still to be up is that
the old fella? Is that the dad?
Yeah, that's the main man. That's the
Mr. G.
That's the gaffer. That's the gaffer there.
That is the gaffer.
That's the gaffer at heart.
But yeah, no, listen, we brought young Sam Hards in on loan from Bromley, and he came straight in on his debut, scored an absolute screamer. Started the next game, scored an absolute screamer. And we've got Jesse Sentemu, Usman Dasanko, Caden Hummerston, Charlie Martin, Tommy McKenna. We've got firepower in abundance. Do you know what I mean? And they just listen. They drive each other on so much, and it's a testament to the group, because players could go and play elsewhere and play every week, but they want to be with us. So hopefully long may that continue, and that'll be a big part of the success.
I mean, there's a few games coming up for you, isn't there? Obviously, we talked about Shoreham. Then you're at home to East Preston. I saw East Preston. You got him in the cup. I saw him Saturday.
Zion FC, innit?
Well, look, I'll tell you what. First half, they battered Worthing United. It was 2-0. Second half, Worthing United came through, but they got some players. Kev's got a team down there, mate. There'll be no rollovers.
Kev's very experienced. I know him from years ago, where he was the Croydon Athletic manager. Had great success when he was at Guildford City. Again, obviously, he's moved away from his roots in being a Croydon bloke, and has had to start again in Sussex. But look, we won't listen. They rolled us over in pre-season, and I'll never forget, because my coaching staff give it to me about it all the time. We lost 1-0, and we were poor, and I made them do pitch runs. They turned the lights off, and we were still doing pitch runs. And Kev Rayner come up to me in front of my coach team. He put his arm around me and went, "You'll be all right, Gilesy." And to this day, when we got the East Preston draw, that was the first thing that went in our staff group chat. Don't worry, you'll be all right, Gilesy. Kev being a great guy, but they've just been giving me shit about that ever since.
Yeah, well, I buried the hatchet with him yesterday. It wasn't so much with him. Maybe his assistant, but me and him had a fallout from back in Boxing Day when I was involved in Arundel. But Mono, we buried the hatchet, and I wish him nothing but success now.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. But then you got Forest Row, and then in the cup, you're away to Haywards Heath. You've been saying you want to test where you are with this squad. Seems like you're only going to have to wait maybe 2.5 weeks for that.
Yeah, listen, and I think that's where I'm showing my ambition, right? Because they are walking the league, and again, listen, like I speak to Kev every now and then. He's doing a fantastic job, fantastic. And listen, they've got a great squad. you know, and again, they've got depth. So if one's missing, someone comes in just as good, you know, and I feel that's where we are now. And I feel that what we didn't have that day when we lost to them in the league, again, I'm in a bit of trouble at the moment for something I said, but, you know, so I don't want to go too far into that, but a decision got made that changed.
What's this then?
Well, I think you all saw my interview that I think it got
Yes.
over 100,000 views, and you know, I'm now on a.
Well, is this one where you're blaming the managers or the refs or something like that?
That
Stop
one,
bringing
yeah,
the league into this review. All right, come on.
You know, and to be honest, I didn't say anything that I feel was out of question. But look, I won't go into that. But you know, that day that there was a massive decision that changed the course of that game. And people might say, well, you still lost 3-0, but moments change games. And up until that point, it was neck and neck. Listen, they had a lot of the ball, which we expected, and we had a game plan to let them have the ball, and we will try and play and catch them on the counter that day. And you know, we didn't have Noel Fisher, we didn't have Adam. You know, we didn't have Sam Hards, we didn't have the firepower, we didn't have Usman Dan Sanko that day, who's huge for us. So actually, you know, big player, mate. You know, 20 years of age, he scored 7 goals all season for Lingfield last year. You know, he's come in pre-season. What a gem. You know, and what an honest lad as well, by the way. You know, he got offered a silly amount of money. There was a.
Oh, I heard. Is he the one? We won't mention the club, but is he the one that I know about?
Yeah. So legal approach was made. The lad actually video called the call from the club and sent me it. So I knew it wasn't.
I would have took the money, mate. I would have took the money and run.
Well, you know, listen, there is that, right? And we had
it was that big. It was that big, though, wasn't it?
It was. Listen, it's money that actually, you know, probably pays for his rent each month.
Yeah.
But again, like, how sustainable is that? I don't know. I'm not that club. I don't know where they're at. And actually, you know, what he said to them is he's about again the project and what he's bought into with us.
Project.
Yes, Bill. And listen,
it'll fit into Bill's new project.
Ain't in there.
We put him under a contract, right? And if you knew the number, you wouldn't believe it. And that's how honest he is. Like, most players would say this, don't sign a contract unless it's 3 figures. The reason why he signed the contract is to keep people away from disrupting his development. And if a club from higher comes in, they will be open to the conversations. But I think he's best placed with me right now. I feel that I've got a good reputation with centre forwards and helping them push on. You know, in the previous years, Errol Mundell-Smith, who I had from the Kinetic Foundation, now pro at Norwich. I had him at Croydon, gave him his debut. Sammy Aioli at Stevenage, scored a hat-trick in the FA Youth Cup, gave him his debut. You know, the likes of Andy Somos and the Richard Pinglings, when I had them, they went on to step 2, step 3. So, you know, I believe I've got the best interest for the boy. And when the time's right, I'll be happy to move him on and help him push on. But, like, listen, like, yeah, I forgot where we was on the topic, but yeah, like, you have clubs trying to throw money around, and, you know, a lot of people will take it. But we, like, again, we got an honest group and a group that want to be there and be in it. So,
can I answer a question that's just come through? Is that all right? Just quickly, because it always gets brought up. But like Josh just said, that Billy needs to talk about the problems he had with not being allowed to sign players if you don't want to take responsibility for the relegation. I think we covered this, Mike. When I went in there, I had a transfer embargo, and the secretary released 4 of my players, and the same week for them to sign to play against us against.
That is true. That's true.
That is wild.
And we were in the transfer embargo as well, so we couldn't actually sign players because there was a league fine wasn't paid for, so we were under a transfer embargo. And
that was the previous committee, previous chairman.
Yeah, not now, not Martin Gander, no. But like, and by the way, I actually got a lot of time for the committee because they were actually, half of them actually quite nice to me. But that's the truth. It doesn't mean that I still don't wear it. If anyone, I always piss and joke around, even with my staff and people at Hastings, that, you know, fuck me, I've done a relegation. Hastings United men can't get relegated this year. Hopefully not. Do you know what I mean? So, look, it's not that I don't own it, Josh. It's just there obviously were factors like there is with everything. But I took the job, so it's on me.
Yeah, Mike.
Yes, buddy.
So sorry, I went off. I do that sometimes. I go off track and forget where I'm at. But we're talking about Hayward Heath, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, look,
25th for the people listening. 25th of the 11th in the Sussex RUR Cup. What round is that? It must be.
I think it's quarter final.
All right.
I think it's the
Yeah.
quarter final.
Quarters.
But look, listen, massive respect to them and massive respect to Kev, but I genuinely want to see where we're at now, because I do think that we have got the firepower now to really trouble anyone. And, you know, it's just a case of, if on the day we put away them chances, like you saw what happened in Guernsey, it's the same against Saturday, you know, and if I think at half time
We should have been 5-0 up, mate.
Yeah, well, even if I
Half
said,
time.
you know, we had 2 disallowed, like there was chance after chance. And, you know, I just think that we are just so dynamic. And I just think, listen, like I back my team, and I'd love just to see how, well, we're going to see, aren't we? So, well, listen, we might get turned over again, and so be it. But I just, you know, I want to see where we're at.
Well, they've got a whole season now. No defeats in there. They've just had a great result the other night. I think it's Friday night. They went away to, is it London Samurai in the Vase?
Yeah.
What, 1-2-0.
Yeah.
You know, Chalet's doing bits down there.
They'll be
All
my
the
tips to
boys.
go all the way, you know. Like, genuinely,
Huh?
I think that especially from the south, them and Whitstable again, I think will be the 2 that people want to avoid in the draw.
You reckon? I'd tell you what,
100%.
I'd love them to do it. I'd love them to get to Wembley. I would say
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, be good for them. Good for
That's
them.
the next away day video, isn't it? If they do that,
I don't think I'll be allowed at Wembley again,
away
mate.
day at Wembley on the touchline.
Oh, you got a ban?
Oh, no. Well, they get a bit messy these away days.
I bet Trev loved that.
Well, I can't. I had loads of footage when we did an away day, and I could only use about 10% of it because,
League Ken's behaviour.
Yeah, you do.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all Lee.
Yeah, I'd
Turn off the camera
edit
at
it all
10, didn't
yesterday.
Yeah.
Well,
When's the t-shirts coming?
I want to get there. I want to get one for Billy saying the Project Wood. I want to get him a nice one. Like, I bet, remember those Austin 316?
No, I'm thinking like the OTP. Do you know what I mean? Original the project. Do you know what I mean?
Get some done there. But just before Lee goes on there, just one last thing on your things. And your next, after Shoreham, your next home game is at home to Forest Row. Again, a team that's had complete 360 around there. New gaffer in, who's definitely got contacts, by the way. He's had contacts down at Crystal Palace as well, hasn't he? Nice guy, you know, really good guy. Wish him well. How'd you see that game?
It's like anything, right? So I think, other than the people that knew what we were doing, yourselves that have come and see, would anyone have, you know, expected us to be sitting where we are right now? And I think the answer is no, right? I think we are punching above our weight. We definitely are financially. But what I will say is, what I will say is,
We got to address that comment.
Yeah, I did just see that corner of my eye. But no, what I will say, listen, we're punching above our weight, but actually, when I look at the group I've got now, I back us to beat anyone. And Forest Row, again, like when you like, that's a completely different story. Like I totally think it's wrong how a whole squad has just been picked up and taken, you know, and they've had a complete rebuild, because, you know, if they didn't get it right and the manager didn't come in with the right contacts, they could quickly be looking over their shoulder. Perhaps they maybe got enough points at the start of the season to not be looking at the drop, but it could really have crept up on them quickly. I think they'll be okay, because I've seen some of the players they've signed. One of them being one of my players that I hadn't waived a 7-dayer. See him on the team sheet, was about to put a complaint in, to rung my secretary, and he said, "Oh, I thought you said waive it."
What, one of your players has gone over there that you didn't want to go over there?
No, so effectively, so Alamin Salami, right? He's been with us since the summer. Ours, and he let me know he was moving abroad, right? So he's going to live abroad. So I said, look, that being the case, it was in 3-4 weeks. Said I'm going to have to, you know, manage that, because, you know, there's players that need to be in the squad if you're going away to come in. And anyway, so first I got a message to say I've had a 7-dayer in for him from Forest Row. I've gone back and said, no, leave it. I'm going to speak to him and we'll sort it after the weekend. Go on Twitter or X on Saturday afternoon, the day of Guernsey, and I see him on the team sheet, and I was like, hang about. Admin's all over it straight away, like ready to explode. What's going on here? Like, and then I rang the secretary. I said, what? And he went, oh, I thought you said waive it. So thankfully, it wasn't Leon Fisher or Noel Fisher or one of them lads.
Adam,
Yeah, like or any of the other lads that are actually present, right? And because he was going away, it was it doesn't matter. But yeah, look, I think they'll be, they're going to be competitive, but I'll say how it is, and I expect us to, we apart from Heath Stenning, because I do think that their budgets should put them above everybody else, and they should blast a lot of people out of the water.
Yeah, great.
I do feel that we are in a place now where we shouldn't worry about anyone, and I would be disappointed. Listen, we're going to drop points, we're going to lose games, and that's natural, but I don't expect us to drop points against them teams. That's just how I am.
And you got Stenning mid-December away.
Yeah, and look, that'll be an interesting one, right? Because they really pulled our pants down. They we had a club fun day. It was Bank Holiday Monday. We lost 6-1, and it was like a horror show.
Yeah.
And again, like I actually after that day turned around and went, they're gonna like motor on. If they've done that to us, what are they gonna do to other people? And they haven't quite done that. And I just actually look at it and go, what, and I spoke to the gaffer afterwards, right? I don't know him from Adam, but seemed like a really nice guy. And he said, we really turned up today. Like, that's the best we've been. But we were equally the worst I've seen us probably since I took over. So, again, I think that'll be a really, really good game. And I think that's where, looking at it long term, we want to be looking at finishing as high as we can in the playoffs, for home advantage, because you don't want to be going to Guernsey if they make the playoffs. That is on a Tuesday night.
No.
So, like for me, it's try and finish second, because I do think that unless Heath fall off a cliff, which I just can't see happening. I know Steve's a chairman there as well, which is a great bloke, and
he's a top lad. He's a top lad.
Whatever happened with Naim, and by the way, Naim's team last year were incredible. Like they were one of the best teams I've ever seen at the level. And I do think that if he had stayed, they would have won it last year. I genuinely do. But look, whatever happened. I know Kev and Steve have got a very good relationship. So look, I fully expect them to go on and win the league and wrap it up pretty early. So then it's about finishing as high as possible.
Fair one.
Let's, Mike, that comment about Ash. Yeah. So let's talk about the non-league manager that isn't a manager that has the best record in the league ever somehow. Seems to think that a club is going to spend anywhere between 3 to 5k in that league. It's just not going to happen. Teams don't have that sort of budget.
Do you think he meant hundreds?
So, no, and that was a week.
Right. Firstly,
no, I think
Ashley, like, he's actually a nice lad.
He is. He is.
I feel really sorry for him because
he tips Storm to win the league.
Yeah, look, he did. Yeah, he doesn't speak amazingly on socials, but as a lad, he's nice not. Lad. He's got his heart in the right place. So, like, I hate it when he's lazy because he's getting battered. And look, when you make silly comments, rightly so, we've all been there. But when he's saying those figures, I think, look, we all know. There's no one on that money at step 5.
Not in this division.
In the Skeffel, 100% there was last year. That's for sure.
Was that
pounds last year?
You reckon?
Yeah, I know.
Full well.
Like, we know full well there is there, and there's probably a couple now. I would like, after an FA Vars run, there's money around. There's things. Certain clubs are going to have money, right? And it's a hard league to get out of, like a really hard league. But Sussex has always been the kind of the poor cousin compared to the Skeffel, really. Always has been. And it's the same when you go to look at, like, when you get into the Isthmian League and you pre-look at the budgets of the Sussex teams versus the Kent teams. It's not comparable at all. 3 to 5 grand. Yeah, look, that's bullshit. No one's getting that. I would say budgets are anywhere. Look, Jarzi, jump in if you think I'm wrong here, but budgets are anywhere from 0 in some cases, because that's true, from step 6 up to in step 6. I would say down there now, probably the most the team spending is probably about £700-800 a week.
I reckon more.
Maybe, I don't like, from what I know of the team, there was teams probably spending that. There was definitely a team spending more than that last year. That's for sure.
Well, that's more than I've got anyway.
I know that for sure. And then in the Prem, there's probably a mixture of, again, there's a couple of teams that are really expenses only, and there actually are. Look, the table tells you that a little bit. And then it goes anywhere from that up. If you take Haywards Heath out the, well, actually, I don't even know like what they spend, but let's just say from 0 to 1,500, I would imagine. And Jarzi, like, you're sitting third in the table, and there's no way you're the third highest payers in that league, in my opinion, from looking at it.
The Haywards Heath thing, though, they're getting numbers behind the gate.
Yeah,
they've got a sustainable model with it.
Yeah,
100%. An unbelievable model. Unbelievable model. You know, what, they get 600 and something last Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, do the maths. Like, even if you just average £10, you know, just on ticket sales, £10 entry. Like, why can't you then have a £2 grand a week budget, or 1,500 quid, or 1,800, whatever it may be? Because look, I don't know, but I would imagine they will be anywhere from 1,500 quid maybe. But you know, I think that only tells by what players they've got and, you know, where they're able to sign from. But again, Kev will have players playing for him for a lot less than someone else will, because he'll have a relationship. So
100%.
you know, that is also true. But yeah, I think, like, for me, I think on average you probably want to break it down. Take Heath, take Stenning out the equation. Again, only from what I'm told, I reckon, you know, you're probably looking at an average of 400, 500, 600 quid a week, 700 quid a week on average. You know, and you'll have a couple a little bit more, a few a little bit less.
Can I just ask you a question? Right? And I'm not talking about the finalists now, but if there's players in your squad, and I know we've overrun a bit, sorry, Lee, but if there's players in your squad, right, that are getting a bit of bunts, 30, 40 quid, whatever, and there's players not getting any dough, do you ever get any grief with that behind the scenes? As if say, hang on a minute, this guy's getting this, why aren't I getting anything?
So I suppose that because we don't have a lot, it's actually quite easy to manage in some ways, because there's no one's on, you know, no one gets free figures, no one. And you know, the 7 days might come flying in because they might think, fuck, you know.
You might have shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, but you know, they
won't move.
They can come because, you know, and massive respect to Jamie Crellin, by the way, at Bridges, because he sent Shay Matthews and Noel Fisher to us on a dual reg, you know, and I know, you know, Noel had a conversation about possibly going back last week, and he's decided to stay with us. And that's a testament, I think, to what we're doing.
I hope so. I've only sponsored him 2 weeks ago.
Well, you knew this anyway, because obviously that conversation. But yeah, look, like, I think for us, everybody gets something. You know, there's lads that pick up £20. You know, there's some lads that pick up £60. You know, but actually, everyone is ranked to where they are at, right? And lads that are travelling further might get a little bit more than the lads that are on our doorstep. Which, by the way, when I took the job, I was told that, and the club were told that they'll have no local players playing for the club. I'm going to just turn it into a franchise like Alfold was.
Wow.
Also, no young players, etc., etc. And you know what? Like, it's quite funny, right? Because when you look at it, our core of our group are from Crawley. That's local to me. You know, if we were just going to go for players in Horsham, I think we'd really struggle, because you have got a big, you know, range of clubs from Horsham FC at step 2 down to, you know, your Loxwoods at step 6, right? And it's hard. Like, there's not that many players there. Like, you know, you've got to fish. You can only fish where the players are. So actually, when you look at our group, we are young, and we are fairly local. You've probably got 6 out of a squad of 23 that are travelling more than 45 minutes, 30 minutes. So, you know, I just think that's how, look, environment and culture, Mike, going back to the original question. Environment, culture, build something that they want to be a part of, make them feel special, make them all feel important. And, you know, that way it's so easy to manage when you don't have a lot of money, I feel.
I think that's a brilliant assessment of where you are, what you've done, and how it showed it can be done. You know,
but Mike, I would, you know, not now because I'm happy, but I'd love to know how I'll get on with a £2,000 a week budget. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, genuinely,
a £2,000 a week budget, I'd blow it all.
Yeah,
I'll be in the clubs.
On a night out.
Clubs in the pubs.
Right,
it's an afternoon
out. Got beat 9-0. How's that team cost? Well, I spent £100 of it.
It's all right. We're still the 23s in this week. Make it rain.
But you know what? You know where I am with that. I mean, like, it's. I think if you've got that sort of money, or you've got high end money, you've got 1,000+. If you're not having a go, then you really need to look at yourself, and maybe it's not right for you, because how can you not succeed with that? Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah. I think that's a great thing saying, a great thing to end it on for tonight. So I think we'll end it there tonight, gentlemen. Liam, I just want to say thank you, mate, for coming on.
Yeah, you're a legend, legend.
Evening with us.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
I tell you, that's crazy numbers.
Also,
yeah, good.
Yeah, was it 1,000?
Yeah, you like hit over 1,000 watching live, which means it's a quiet night on telly.
To want to listen to us, it must be.
Yeah. Nah, wicked.
But no, just another thing as well is also, people that don't know, Liam's also a massive supporter of what we do for Sussex football. So again, mate, thank you for the support and, you know, everything and the messages that you back and forth with each other. Yeah.
Second ever Dugout Diaries was with Jarzy. We're gonna have to go back and revisit that, mate. Second ever one I did was with you.
Yeah, and that was an interesting one.
Yeah, because you just left that Lockswood job, didn't you?
Yeah, shame. But yeah, no, guys, keep doing what you're doing. Genuinely, like, without you, to be fair, Sussex football's a bit dead. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, like, you know, content and, you know, presence online. So yeah, thank you for what you're doing. And Bill, be patient, mate. It's coming.
There's a big job left in Bill, isn't there?
There's another one not far away.
There's a big one for me.
You wait. There'll be 7 days going in, and then some clubs going to think, "Oh, I'm going to have a little approach at Jarzy." Then suddenly next week, announce Billy Wood like that.
Nah, my next job. I think my next job is somewhere like, I don't know, fucking Dog and Duck Rovers in Division 8 of the East Sussex League or something like that. Maybe we'll see.
If you do that, I'll come as your number 2, mate.
Oh, fucking hell, mate. We'll be flying. Reckon we'll have money to spend in the bar?
We'll have loads of money at the bar, mate.
Brilliant. Cheers, gents.
Wicked,
See you next Sunday.
Thank you, gents. Thank you, Liam, mate.
Lads.
See you later.
Yes, see you next Sunday.